Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come on and fly.
Glamour, charm, sex, desire, envy. 20,000 feet in the air, as carefully made up Barbie dolls, stewardesses were the epitome of an American man's fantasy. What the world had not expected, however, was that lurking amidst these lusty ladies were political advocates and outspoken feminists.
Pack up, let's fly away. Pack a small bag.
In the 1930s, as the Great Depression struck the nation, aviation began to take a new form, one of luxury and adventure. Nonetheless, the technology for air travel was still quite basic, with cramped cabins, air sickness, and frequently interrupted flights giving the public a perception of danger. Therefore, airlines brought in air hostesses, attractive and nurturing young women who could ease the worries of passengers and provide for a safe journey. As the decades flew by, the women were renamed stewardesses and transformed by the airlines into sex symbols. In the 1960s, the media configured the stewardesses into the centerpiece of the airline's advertising campaigns, and the women began to realize the lack of benefits they were receiving from their employers. The airlines upheld the stewardesses to physical requirements and age restraints. Additionally, with blatant sexism, the media farther diminished their rights as working women. Even though the ladies were deemed sex objects in the eyes of the public, the airlines made no farther attempts to better their standing. The government acted as a bystander and did not uphold their responsibility to protect the rights of their citizens and provide for fair and equal treatment. It was time for the stewardesses to take matters into their own hands and claim the rights they were entitled to. Sex discrimination was nothing new in the 1950s and 60s America, as traditional gender roles were still heavily enforced. However, few employers had such stringent and overly sexist policies as the airlines. Groups such as Pan Am, Southwest, Eastern American, and Continental created a lengthy list of procedures for their employees.
They don't have this silliness for secretaries or pilots or anybody else. It's just the flight attendants.
The airlines prized themselves on having attractive and desirable young women to lure their ideal clientele of white businessmen onto the planes. Therefore, weight and age restrictions were placed on all stewardesses.
Well, they would look at you after a flight, and if you gained a little bit of weight, get on the scale. Looks like you gained maybe a pound. I'm going to say just about after every trip, they would, check the planes and check you and, if anything was out of place, check on you. They were very strict at the time, in fact, that you would be willing to leave at the age of 32. You couldn't fly after that age. Once you're married, you're out of there. We're not allowed to be married. Ladies only, no men. There were never male attendants. Just women.
Pan Am stated, tasteful makeup compatible with skin coloring is a requirement. For an attractive uniform appearance, apparent leg hair should be removed, bleached, or concealed by support hosiery.
Only male workers were permitted to wear glasses, and women with less than 20/40 vision were not even selected for the job. Furthermore, for women, this selection process was both demeaning and embarrassing.
When I was interviewed, I was inspected carefully. The interviewer examined my hair, nails, hands, arms, asked me to raise my skirt and took a look at my hips and legs, checked my teeth, explaining the importance of the smile, and scrutinized the exposed parts of my face, neck, arms, legs for unsightly scars.
Women were never given a chance to progress their careers and build a successful future, although Eastern's training brochure claimed that
Eastern stewardesses may look forward to even greater opportunities for responsible positions with their company.
Women had no upward mobility, unlike their male counterparts. Psychological and physiological stresses of flying, such as irregular hours, effects of jet lag, and changes in air pressure became overwhelming. They began to realize that their rights could no longer be sacrificed. As the ladies underwent these strict airline policies, various media groups and advertisers overlooked the discrimination and instead focused on the allure and attraction of the job. The major perpetrators were the airlines themselves. Campaigns included Continental's "We Really Move Our Tails for You" and the infamous airstrip pictures. National's $9.5 million Come Fly Me campaign focused on specific stewardesses, some of the most famous including Cheryl and Joe. The TV commercials featured the girls flirtatiously eyeing the camera and breathing, "I'm going to fly you like you've never been flown before."
Joe Moran explains, the company asked me and others to pose for photographs. We didn't know the nature and language of the promotion until it was out.
A majority of the other airlines also altered the uniforms of the stewardesses to fit their new ads, including clothing items such as hot pants, miniskirts, and fishnets. Other outside groups grabbed a hold of the sexy stewardess image and applied it for their own financial benefit. Coca-Cola released a series of commercials in 1967 featuring a charming stewardess modeling their product. The porn industry exploded with the new icon, young flying girls.
Getting a stewardess out of her uniform, the process of undressing her, has to be one of the most erotic sensations ever.
The media created dangerous and demeaning perceptions of stewardesses, which encouraged their oppressed role in the workplace. As the racy advertisements continued, the stewardesses found that such ads greatly diminished their ability to be taken seriously. Instead, the predominantly male airline customers refused to follow their safety skills.
Yeah, they were sexist back then. Yes, they were. Yeah, but we were like giant Barbie dolls back then. I hate to say it, but it was kind of like you had to be real pretty.
I was once confronted by a man who demanded a drink on a flight which we had no scheduled liquor service. When I tried to explain politely that we could not serve liquor, he was outraged and told me that when he bought his ticket, he bought mate as well, and he was going to report to my supervisor that I had not obeyed him. This concept of stewardesses didn't cover anything serious or responsible like handling an emergency.
The airlines were also failing in their responsibilities to their customers. If an emergency were to arise on board, many passengers may not take the instructions and directions of the sexy stewardesses seriously.
The airlines don't sell safety. They're more interested in showing who has sexy legs. The ads never show us checking oxygen bottles.
By upholding the glamorous appeal, the potential safety of the passengers was put in jeopardy. These women began to reach their breaking point. Many believed that it was the responsibility of the federal government to give the girls the rights they deserved. When the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed by President Johnson, the stewardesses became the very first case in front of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, a new government organization to end employment discrimination. The stewardesses claimed that the airline policies were unjust under Title VII of the Act. However, the airlines found a loophole in the law, which allowed employers to discriminate in
those certain instances where religion, sex, or national origin is a bona fide occupational qualification, reasonably necessary to the normal operation of that particular business.
The airlines claimed that it was the expectations of the customers to have a young female serving them, making it an assumed requirement. On November 9, 1966, the EEOC issued that gender cannot be an occupational qualification for stewardesses. The ruling made many discriminatory hiring and employment practices illegal. Unfortunately, the airlines gained an injunction on the research, making the rights gained irrelevant.
I had to quit. I had to retire when I was flying for TWA because I was married. And back then, if you were married, you couldn't be a flight attendant.
In 1968, the EEOC issued 3 individual rulings: Neal v. American, Dodd v. American, and Colvin v. Piedmont, which declared age and marriage restrictions to be illegal. Sprogus v. United in 1970 and Laffey v. Northwest in 1973 outlawed marriage and weight discrimination, respectively. The gains likely could not have been achieved without the supervision of Stewardesses for Women's Rights, a group founded by Sandra Jarrell and Jan Folsom, who worked with several high-profile feminists like Gloria Steinem. By 1976, the organization folded. It was not due to a lack of success or support, but rather the women had achieved all of their goals. Stewardesses could now marry, gain weight, grow old, and get pregnant. There was even the addition of males into the workforce, which transformed the term stewardesses into the more gender-neutral flight attendant. However, the movement was more significant in how the responsibilities of the airlines and government changed along the way. With the enactment of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, including Title VII, the government became more responsible for the rights of their citizens. Employment discrimination became a prominent issue in the United States, and the federal government recognized that it was their responsibility to ensure that all females and males alike could live to their greatest potential. However, it was the airlines that truly transformed their responsibilities. The ladies and men could now equally and successfully ensure the safety of the passengers without fear of discrimination. The fight for gender equality in the airline industry didn't just change stewardesses' rights. Instead, the movement served as a catalyst for the second women's rights wave in the United States. As stewardesses gained their rights, so did the rest of the women throughout America. However, while females won the fight for gender equality in the United States, discrimination still exists for girls in and out of the airline industry in other nations. The fight is not over yet.
Little bitty pretty one.